As a 23-year-old student myself, I look around at my peers of people my age, people I graduated high school with, and most of them have then graduated college. My social media for the past year and a half has been flooded with caps, gowns, and most importantly, diplomas. There's a trending problem after these happy photos are taken. Now what? Many of these students are facing the real life problems of not being able to find a job after college and having to deal with this crippling debt that they now have because of going to college. I think I have a very simple solution to this problem, this growing problem. These students shouldn't have gone to college in the first place. Not everyone needs to go to college. I think college has a very specific purpose. It is to prepare you for your chosen career. Some careers do require you to get an education. Some careers do not. From the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I got about an average of just a general chosen career. Some, again, need education and some don't. Of about average what they're going to earn per year. This is taking into consideration someone who's incredibly successful at their job to someone who is just starting out. That average, I took and multiplied that by how many years you're going to be in the workforce. If you went to college, you're going to get 4 less years of work. If you went to college, I'm also deducting about $100,000 for your average school prices to go to college. It's about $100,000 for your tuition, your fees, your room and board, your food, just day-to-day costs. It's about $100,000. That again, if you went straight into the workforce, that's not what you wouldn't have had to deal with those fees. As you can see from this chart, still, even though those fees were in place, their tax bracket was then in a higher portion, so they had less money. You're still going to earn more money if you did go to college. Not a huge amount more, but still significant. And it's not always the case. Some majors when you finish your major and you go into the workforce, you're not going to earn as much as someone who just went out there. It's not always the case that you're going to earn more money. Generally, though, it still is. And if your career that you have in mind, that you want, doesn't require a 4-year degree, you should not be going to college. And that's because it is strictly a financial decision. If a given college doesn't provide a net return in your career, that college is not for you. So let's say you have decided what your career is going to be. I'm going to be an engineer for sure. Then you have to decide, what college am I going to go to? You could either go to a public college or a private college or a community college. Again, this is strictly a financial decision. That's what this should be. For example, as a nurse, it doesn't matter at all what college I graduate from. For me to get a job, and my pay will be exactly the same if I went to BYU to get my nursing degree, a very impressive, incredible program, or if I went to Slick to get my degree. Not nearly as renowned as BYU's. I will earn the same amount of money as long as I pass the NCLEX. That's the important part. That's what's important here. But if you look at the flip side, if you want to be a lawyer or an investment banker, it's definitely going to matter where you go to school. If, for example, as a lawyer, if you decide to go to BYU to get your law degree, starting out, you are never going to earn as much as someone who went to Harvard to get their law degree. It's just not going to happen. And same with an investment banker. If you got your MBA at BYU versus Georgetown, again, it's not even a comparison. You have to look at your net return because it is so much more expensive to go to a private school, but it might be worth it in the long run. You have to take that into consideration and really figure out the finances behind this to make sure you can pay back your loan, to make sure you can be successful for your future. Now, let's say you don't know what you want to do when you graduate, or when you graduated high school, you don't know what career you want to do. You have no idea. You're 18 when you graduate high school. You're young. You don't know. For those people, do not go to college yet. Work at a minimum wage job for a while, maybe do a few jobs, figure out what career you want after college, or figure out, hey, I kind of like cooking. Maybe I should go into this. Like, this is kind of my passion. I want to do this for the rest of my life. So go into that field. Don't go to college for that. Or you discover you're really good with your hands. Be a mechanic. Be an electrician. That's what you should be going into. Or you discover, I'm kind of interested in how the human body works. I really like fixing people up. You should be a nurse. That's why I'm one. They're planning to be one. It's really important to decide beforehand. So many students decide, I'm just going to go to college, and because that's what I'm supposed to do, all my friends are going, and they go and they either pick a major that they can't get a job after, or they don't have the motivation because they're just going for their friends, and they end up dropping out. So if we look, how much money are they losing? I actually did the math. So let's say you decided to go to college, and then you get your degree. That degree has no marketability, and because of that, then and so then you decide, okay, maybe I should do a trade type job. Let's say I want to be a fireman, or I actually want to be a plumber. I need a job that can earn a decent amount of money. So then you go into your apprenticeship and you go and train for that, or you get the education you need through that program. I figured out about how much money you're losing. As you can see from this chart, there is a significant difference from trade schools who just decided, I know what my career is, I'm going to go into it right now, versus those who decided, let's go to college, let's throw away some money first, then get serious and figure out what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's not a smart idea. And there's a perfect example out there. It's a family friend of ours, and he's the opposite case. For the first 10 years of his life, he digged ditches. He worked at a graveyard. That's all he did all day long. And he made pretty good money doing it. But he discovered one day, you know what? I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. This is terrible. He sat down, figured out what he wanted to do before he went to college, and he managed to get that degree, and he's working as an engineer. And he is loving it. In that case, he didn't lose any money because he figured out what he wanted to do in the first place, and as an extra bonus, he was more emotionally prepared for college as well. So he wasn't as willing to, or not as often going to be able to flunk out. Now, a lot of people will say, well, college is where you go to learn. College is where you become a lifelong learner. You should always want to further your education. I agree you should always want to further your education. I would never disagree with that. Many church leaders have even told us, always be a lifelong learner. There's so much you can learn. But I don't think going to and paying for college is the place to do that. There are lots of other options for you to be a lifelong learner. You can even just go to the library. There's tons of books on every subject imaginable. You can read, learn that way. There's documentaries out there with what you're interested in. For example, my dad, who is an engineer, he loves the way things work. That's why he decided to be an engineer. He also has a passion and loves watching Revolutionary War documentaries. He finds it the most fascinating thing. He watches hours and countless hours of Revolutionary War documentaries, reads up on the people of the war, reads into who Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, their mindset. He's fascinated with that time period in history, and so he studies it himself. Not only can you just watch documentaries, there's also clubs you could join where their purpose is to learn information and come and discuss and figure out what you want to do. And even if you want to attend college and learn about a subject, audit a class. Learn what you want to without paying for it, and you still can learn anything you want. I think the lasting message I want to leave with you is college is about your vocation. Learning is about your passion. Figuring out the difference between those two can save yourself a lot of hassle for